Ways podcast, and I am your guide, Marcus Murray. We're going to touch on two specific areas as we wrap up the five important things that we need to be aware of at this point in our lives. We're going to talk about both financial and spiritual. Why? Well, if we take a look at it from a financial standpoint, we touched on it in the last episode, the prevalence of deception among those of us that are at this age. What's interesting, when you have more years behind you than ahead of you, it's very important that whatever you've been able to accumulate, that no one comes and just steals it away. But I want to share something. Imagine that in this cup there is water. Actually, just so you know, it is not water. Wait. Nope. This is some of the most delicious coffee, but we can't talk about that right now. This is the coffee that makes you say, wow, it's absolutely delicious. But anyway, why did I taste it? Now I need just a little more. But I want you to imagine this as not coffee, but water. And imagine it as, well, it can be coffee. We'll change it back. Imagine it as coffee. But we're going to transition it and we're going to call it what you've been able to accumulate over the course of your life. Okay. So the water or coffee, the water that's in the cup is what you've been able to accumulate up to this point in your life. Now, I want you to compare this to a faucet. Right here, we'll imagine this is our imaginary faucet. We're going to turn the faucet on. You have a cup of water and you have the faucet. Right now, we're turning on the faucet. Oh, I'm sorry. It turns this way. Now the water is running. Which one is more valuable, the cup of water or the running water? That's a very interesting thought. And oh, let me turn that water back off. I would submit to you that the running water is more valuable than the water that's in the cup. Here's why. The running water, if you can imagine, you can fill up a swimming pool with running water. You can turn on the spigot and literally fill an entire swimming pool with water. No matter how long you pour from this cup, this will not fill a swimming pool. Why is this important? When we look at our finances at this point in life, our ability to generate, to create and generate residual ongoing revenue is more valuable than our settled assets, right? So what we've been able to accumulate is great. I'm not dismissing it, nor am I encouraging anyone to treat it without the seriousness and the care that it requires. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that even more than this, your ability to create and generate ongoing revenue is going to be critical. So, there are some costs that we need to talk about. There's something called the cost of saying no. I'm not sure if you've ever had this experience where someone approaches you with a business idea or a business concept, and before they can even get the words out of their mouth, because this was common, I used to do this, and many people do this. Before the words were even warm off the lips, they were still coming out hot. Before they could even get finished, I was saying, no, I'm not interested. I would submit to you that in our current economy and current environment, there is a very high cost of saying no. We have to, of course, be discerning about the things we decide to do, the things we decide to get involved in. However, I don't believe we are in a position right now in this current economy and the current culture to say no. Here's why. I received a text from a person. I'm not sure if you were able to get it, but I gave a cell phone number that you can send text to. It was provided to us courtesy of Care Michigan. And I want to give you that. And if you want to send me commentary, questions you want me to answer, or areas you want me to discuss, I will mention it. So let me give you that number. It's 586 615 1450. 586 615 1450, and I will actually get the correspondence and personally engage and respond back to you. Why is this important? So I received a a very lengthy text from someone talking about the fact that they said no to an opportunity, and there was this cost. I was talking about the cost of saying no. So they were going through this long thing, and they were talking about this business that they had been presented and how they said no, blah 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 blah. But then they received a bill on their property that they own outright, a very small property, but they own it on their street. And this is what they're explaining in the text. They actually did some work with drainage, where they're digging the drains up. That's common throughout the United States right now. These companies are coming into neighborhoods because a lot of the infrastructure is aging, and they began digging up the entire neighborhood where they live, and they actually pushed back the property, so the sidewalk, they actually consumed the sidewalk and expanded the street even. And it's crazy, and and there was a cost for the community, the little association. There was a cost for them to repave the street and rebuild the green space, and they divided that cost between all of the homeowners. So here's a person already paid off their home, and they've got their nest egg, they've got what they've been able to accumulate, and all of a sudden they get a bill that's bigger than they had planned for. So, what I'm saying is, if we do not create additional streams of revenue, this will erode whatever we've been able to accumulate. So, in life, I believe there is a very high cost of saying no. You may say, "No, I don't wanna, be a Amway distributor," for example, but don't make that I'm saying no to ever doing anything entrepreneurial, or I'm saying no to anything that I could do to generate revenue. This may be a wonderful time to start a power washing business. If you've reached the point, let's say you're 60 years old, 65 years old, and you've been able to accumulate a limited amount of assets, and yet you realize the value of having ongoing increasing revenue. Turn this on. Imagine what type of business could you do? Power washing. That is a simple, no brainer business. The only thing you have to buy is the power washer, which they have those at Home Depot and Lowe's. And the majority of people that I know don't have time to do that. The majority of people are working, or they're too busy, or all these different reasons why they can't power wash. There is a need for power washing. Maybe you're a car buff, and you might decide that you're going to start detailing cars. I believe if you've got more years behind you than ahead of you, more likely than not, you would be more attentive and probably do a better job detailing a car than a lot of other people, because of the maturity, and you would treat it with the right amount of time and consideration, and it'd probably be an amazing job. Maybe you have a gift of baking. This is the time to turn our gifts on, because if we don't do something, the limited assets just like time are limited. Assets are not unlimited. So whatever we've been able to accumulate, it is always better when we can add more to what we've been able to accumulate. So the cost of saying no could be extremely pricey in the future. So keep that in mind. Then there is the cost of investing. Here's another cost that can be really costly. When you don't have wise counsel and good guidance, I know people personally that have invested over $1 million of their hard-earned money, and the whole thing went away, disappeared with very little protection. I'm gonna encourage you, when you're looking at a bit, and by the way, I have a webinar coming out, I just wanna share that with you. It should be hitting, the internet probably in the next, I think in the next 14 days. You'll see this, invitation to participate in this webinar. but the webinar is specifically designed on how to find the right type of business for this season of life. And so, if you have time and you have the ability to spend 3 hours in a webinar, I believe it'll be extremely valuable and it'll be a game changer, and could have some very long and significant benefit financially for you. But if you're all good, some people think or feel I'm all good. I don't need to look at anything. I'm fine with my limited assets. If that's you, 100% fine. But I am looking for 100 people that are actually interested in transforming, and really not just transforming mindset, but financially being able to achieve some goals. So I'm doing that webinar to identify just 100 people that are like, "I'm ready. I've waited long enough. I've been sitting around doing nothing, and now I realize that's not a winning strategy. I thought I was all set because my cup was full, and now I'm realizing that there are factors that actually erode our assets when we're not, ever increasing and adding to what we have." So anyway, stay tuned for that. And it's important that we are aware that there's something called a lack of currency. Lack of currency. And when I wrote that down, I was thinking about economic currency and I was thinking about dollars. But there are so many types of currency that at this point in our lives, we can't afford to lack. There's social currency that we need, that is how we learn, that is how we grow. When we're able to become a part of a team, especially a winning team, it's game over. You do not want to miss that. That is a unique moment in time. There is the currency of timing that you don't want to miss. Sometimes you can just be in the right place at the right time doing the right thing and everything goes well for you. That is an example of some of those magical moments that people talk about. I don't know how it happened, but all of a sudden everything just took off for me. I'm going to encourage you. I talked in an earlier episode about putting your antennas up. I'm going to encourage you to literally dial in. Go back to writing your dreams and your goals and your what ifs. What if money was no object? What if I could actually win? What would life look like? Go back to writing that down. Get a journal, get a notebook, do something, not just in your cell phone. Use your hands and actually write. There is a reason that the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain that those that read may run thereby. There's a reason for that. And I just believe there's something magical about writing, journaling, and notating when ideas come. I believe that you are entering a season of extraordinary breakthrough. And I'm not sure if you, like me, have been in a position where you've been sitting just thinking about the future. Have you ever just been sitting and thinking, how is this going to work out? Like, I know what we have, but with all the scammers and schemers and, all the different plots that are out there, how is this going to work out? There's a cost for knowledge. I would say to you that knowledge does have a cost. Sometimes it costs time because we have to use our time to get knowledge. But the lack of knowledge also has a very extreme cost. If you do not have knowledge, it is the most expensive experience, period, bar none. The lack of knowledge actually leads to destruction, it actually leads to failure. I believed at one point in my life, people that just save money, they just had it made. That is not true. If all we do is save money and we don't have knowledge, we don't know what to do with it, it's literally just sitting there waiting for someone to come and take it. And the way the world is geared right now, they are plotting and planning. Man, if the crooks spend half as much time doing good as they do plotting, planning, scheming, and strategizing against innocent people, the world would be amazing. But the reality is, we're in a world where your knowledge, especially related to financial matters, is going to be critical. I'm going to encourage you, start reading about things. There are things that are happening. There is a thing that everyone's talking about with cryptocurrency. I know zero about cryptocurrency, but guess what I'm doing? I'm studying, I'm reading. There are so many things that I don't know about. But do you know what I do know about? I know how to maintain my status as a lifelong learner. I know how to listen, and I know how to write down a word that I heard someone mention. And then I know how to drill down on that word. I know how to go to Chat GPT and ask Chat, what is that? And explain that to me. And I ask it probably 4 or 5 questions, because the thing about Chat, if you go way beyond 5 questions on the same topic, Chat, the one problem with it, one of the big problems with it, is that it has something built into it called hallucinations, where it'll start taking you down a rabbit trail that's not even true. But at this point in my life where I have more years behind me than ahead of me, I recognize one thing. I know how to research. I know how to look up things, and I'm going to keep looking them up, and I know how to source them. Don't just rely on one source. So, one of the things that we need to do is we need to make certain that we continue to build our knowledge base. And I'm going to encourage each and every person that's listening to develop a group or a team of advisors. Why not? If companies have advisory boards, why don't you have an advisory board? Why not? There should be someone that you respect spiritually, and that person needs to be a part without even telling them. You are the chief executive officer and CEO of you. So you don't have to disclose who's in what position. You choose your board, your 5 advisors. You choose your spiritual advisor. Who is that person going to be? You choose your social advisor. Who is that person going to be? You choose your physical advisor, where you get tips on health and nutrition. Who is that person going to be? And then you choose your educational advisor. Who is the person that you're going to buy into their strategies and their thought processes for continuing to grow and develop your mind? And then you have to choose the advisor that you're going to have for social, physical, financial, and spiritual. Who's the spiritual advisor going to be? Find that person, and then make them a part of your advisory board. Listen to their writing, listen to their podcasts, listen to the things that they suggest. If it's a fitness advisor, and they recommend an exercise, and what's so cool right now is health and fitness, health and wellness has become so sophisticated and delineated now. You can actually say, hey, listen, I'm 62 years old and I have um bad back, and they give you exercises that fit a 62-year-old with a bad back. Or you could say, I'm 45 but I have bad knees, and they give you exercises that address the fact that you're unable to do as much with your knees. It's so amazing right now. We are in the greatest time ever. And this is your season. That's the key. But in order to actually maximize your season, you're going to have to open up your mind to the possibilities of what if. And you have to know that nothing happens by accident. Even you listening to this podcast, it wasn't an accident. Do you know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts? And you're listening to this one, the No Time to Waste podcast, that's designed and built. The heartbeat of it is those of us that have more years behind us than ahead of us, speaking directly to the issues that will impact you. And do you know what's wild? There's so much here and so much to unpack. I want to end with one thing: opportunity cost, missed opportunity cost. The cost of missing an opportunity is so great that we can't afford it. An opportunity in its season at the right time could change the trajectory of your economic and social future. But you've got to be there when the opportunity presents. That's key. We did not get to the elixirs of life, so I'm going to do that in the next episode where you need to tune in so that we break down for you the elixirs, the spiritual elixirs of life that help you more than all of these things we've referenced. And I guarantee at the end, you will be free, you will be powered, you will be empowered, and you will be more certain and committed to your future than ever before. I'll see you in the next episode. And in closing, I want to thank Care Michigan, our host and sponsor of the No Time to Waste podcast. They're located in Troy, Michigan. They work with individuals that have been severely injured in motor vehicle accidents, and you can reach them on the web at www.caremichigan.com. And if you want to text me, please feel free to do so at 586 615 1450. 586 615 1450. Let's seize the day.